Alright, we're almost ready to do some fiberglassing. So I just wanted to do a little test for y'all so you can see. Of course, you know, now that everything's screwed in, I don't know if you can see. If you want a comparison of how much it flexes before and after, it's got quite a bit of flex in it right now. So once I'm done, that should all be gone. So, now the process now is I have to take and use some acetone, wipe everything down with acetone before I start the fiberglass process. So I'm going to wipe everything down real quick, and then I'll start filming the mixing of the resin first, and show you how to do that, and then I will start doing the fiberglass, laying the first layer, second layer, third layer. Alright guys, so this is what we got here. Fiberglass resin, and then the liquid hardener here comes with that when you buy it. So, and then I have a little measuring cup here, but I'm not going to use that because my little mixing cup I've made here has the ounces on the side of it. I'm going to start with 10, see how far that gets me. I don't think that's going to be enough, nowhere near enough, but with the way it hardens, you got to start somewhere. So this resin says you need 14 drops of liquid hardener to 1 ounce of fiberglass resin. So that's a little hard to determine when I'm going to be doing 10 ounces. That's 140 drops. So it's going to be a little, it's going to be a little bit difficult to measure 140 drops, but by the time I get it all counted, it should be hard by then anyway. But we're gonna do what we can do and mix it all up, get it put down. And what you're also gonna need is a roller like this. This is the best kind of roller to use for putting down the resin, because it's not gonna ruin the roller. You can just take that roller thing right off, and because once that resin hardens, it's going to be useless if you use a different type of roller, the bigger rollers. Anyway, and then you need a putty knife to try to get all the bubbles out, and then any excess resin can be reused on the next layer. All right, so here we go. Hey guys, so as you can see how this is going, I couldn't touch the camera, so I couldn't move it and show you the rest of it because I had resin all over my fingers and everything. I had ran out of resin, so I had to run to the store and get more resin. I had two they're almost a gallon things of resin, and it wasn't enough steel. So always make sure you have enough, because now, since I did that, now I have a little problem. When I did it, the resin didn't go all the way through on that last layer, so I have some spots that I had to grind out because they got air underneath them, as you can see with that spot right there. And then there's some, so I had to take a side grinder, and because it had already set up and dried, and there was air bubbles underneath it because I didn't get it set good enough. Now I went around the edges too and cut this with a side grinder, and or you can also use a cutting wheel to cut around the edges to get that the wisps, to cut those wisps off, or the little hairs. You can, what I did was I left on this final layer, I left a little bit up around the edges, which I can show you over here. I didn't film that, but the
I wanted it to be long enough, so you want to make sure it's long enough. So I cut this off after it dries. It's a lot easier. You can cut it, and then pretty much the resin holds all the fibers together. And you can see on the back side too, over there. So I'm gonna go around and cut all that off and sand it down, and then cut any spots that didn't get hardened or didn't get enough resin on it, because even with the 3rd gallon still wasn't enough. So once I get done cutting all these bad spots out, I did buy some more fiberglass, the chopped strand. So once I get done cutting all these bad spots out where it had air underneath it, you got to cut it out, and then I'm going to patch in some spots of fiber and resin those too, so it's all solid one piece. There's no air bubbles underneath it, because air is bad. You don't want air in your fiberglass. That's why you want to make sure it's fully saturated when you're putting this stuff down, and with the resin, because any air bubbles can cause moisture to get caught in there, and you don't want moisture in your floor for sure. So let's get started finishing this and see where we get. If you're gonna do this, good God, go buy some gloves, because I made the mistake of trying to do it and thought I was gonna keep my hands clean. It ain't gonna happen. I bought these gloves right here, and they are latex gloves, and I got the thickest ones you could get that they had, which is 14 mil. So the thicker the better, because this resin will burn right through pretty much any thin stuff. So and then of course you're gonna want to get some eye protection as well, and some respirators or something to keep that dust out of your lungs when you're cutting it, because when you're cutting it and sanding it and stuff, fiberglass is going to get everywhere. You're going to get it on you. There's no way to avoid that. You know, you can wear a suit or something, you know, and you can do it that way, and it'll keep it off of you. But I'm working in a shop, and it's hot as hell in here. So anyway, let's get to it. Hey guys, it's 11 o'clock tonight, and we got quite a bit of work done on the inside, so it's all smoothed out and everything is ready for the final coat. So as you can see, I've sanded it with 80 grit sandpaper and got it scuffed up pretty good. So basically all I need to do now is put on the final coat. So I'll show you a little preview and then we'll get started. So this will be the leveling coat I put on here. So it's going to be the final coat, which will be the slick surface that you normally see on fiberglass. So it'll take out all this rough edge. This is really rough as you can see. So all this resin I put on here now is going to fill in all these little spots. So basically all I was trying to do is take off the high spots with the 80 grit sandpaper, and now we'll put the final coat on it, and it'll fill in everything, and then we'll start prettying everything up. So yeah, here we go. So I haven't showed y'all the process as far as mixing. So with this resin, there is, they say, 14 drops per 1 ounce of fiberglass. So I'm going to do 48 ounces this trip around, and that comes up to be 672 drops. Are we going to measure that much? No, we're not going to measure that much. So it's about 600, let's say, about 1 1/4 ounces. So what I have is this little measuring cup right here, 1 1/4 ounces. So I'm going to measure that out to be 1 1/4, which is inside of here, which I don't have a 1 1/4, but I have a 1 1/2 and a 1. So I can easily determine in between 1 and 1 1/2, obviously, for 1/4. So anyway, so 1/4, so 48 ounces of the resin, and then we're going to do 1 1/4 of the hardener, which isn't rocket science. It's 2 parts. It's not that difficult. So here we go. Alright, so we got the resin in the jug. So you want to put your trash bag down because it's going to make a mess, and there ain't a whole lot of ways to avoid doing that. So this is the liquid hardener here. We're going to put it in this little cup. Oh, we ran out. Good thing we got another one. So that's supposed to be 1 ounce, but it's not. So the little measurements aren't always right on these. Don't forget, you ain't got a whole lot of time to work with this once you start mixing it. So you got to try to do this as quick as possible. Once you start mixing it, you got to start putting it down. There's not a whole lot of work time on this. But you always want to make sure you get it mixed good, because if you don't mix it good, it's not going to lay right. You'll have some spots that are tacky and some spots that ain't good. And with a batch this big, I want to make sure I got it real good and mixed good, so I'm going to mix it, stir as long as I have to. Make sure everything's, get the edges around the edges, make sure everything's good. I got a lot of territory to cover, but this last final batch is going to be pretty quick, because we're just going to coat it over it, and it should lay pretty flat by itself. It's going to heat up. When it heats up, it's going to smooth right out right by itself. Alright, this should be good.
Don't poke yourself with a knife like I did. Well, I had a brush around here somewhere. Just behind me. So I'm gonna try to start in the worst spot, which is over here, underneath this console. Try to get this spot done first. Alright guys, the whole floor is done. Look at that glassy finish. Okay, yeah, it looks a little wrinkly, but hey, we're gonna sand it down and carpet's gonna get put right over top of it and you don't never see it. So anyway, so it's done. The floor is complete, and this 96 Stratus boat is old, but it's got a new floor in it, and I already jumped up and down on it, and it's pretty solid. I mean, it's way solider than it was before with the plywood. So yeah, next time around we're gonna come in here and sand all the hot spots down, and we'll get some primer on it. And I'm about to order some primer and some gel coat for the top, so we can go ahead and gel coat and clear coat the top of this thing and get her going. Once we get that done, we can put some carpet on it and start getting to a finishing point. This is my first big fiberglass project, so for me it's big anyway. I've done little projects here and there, but for me this is the first big project I've done. So to show you that it can be done, I mean, you don't have to know it all to be able to do this. Anybody can do it. I did it. So and that floor is solid. Okay, the woven fiberglass that I used is really strong stuff. So being in that resin is going to make it stronger than that floor has ever been, and I imagine it will last 30 years. So anyway, that is done now, and like I said, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. It's not, you know, just because you have a little rot in your floor, don't think you can't do it. All season, you can't fish anyway. You might as well tear your boat apart and fix it. And don't forget, this is going to be like 2 weeks I haven't posted a video. So, but you know, I've been doing these a couple hours every night and trying to put videos together for you guys. But don't forget to put your family first. You're not always going to be able to get out here and do what you need to do, and I definitely don't. So with 5 kids, it's tough to get out here and find time and work too. So remember, put your family first. They're going to need you more than anybody. So you might be doing these things for your family to have fun with them and spend time with them, but don't forget about them, because they want to spend time with you too. All right, thanks guys.